Welcome to our channel. Today, we explore the most impacted environments on Earth. Witness rivers choked with trash, cities veiled in smoke. The Earth's capacity to absorb our impact is not limitless. Join us as we uncover these hidden realities, like subscribe and hit the bell icon for more content. Let us begin this important journey together. Our journey commences in the Indian subcontinent, at the banks of a river held sacred by over 1 billion souls, the Ganges. For millennia, this mighty waterway has been a lifeline, a spiritual sanctuary, a mother to civilizations. Yet this reverence stands in stark contrast to the river's current state. Immense pollution, untreated sewage and industrial waste choke the Ganges. Efforts to clean the river have been ongoing for decades. The Ganges story is a reminder of the impact of human pressures on nature. We now travel southeast to the island of Java in Indonesia to witness one of the world's most polluted rivers, the Citarum. This waterway, once a source of life, now choked with trash and industrial waste, presents an almost unbelievable spectacle of environmental degradation. The Citarum is a stark lesson in how rapidly an ecosystem can collapse. Our focus now shifts to the African continent, specifically to Agbogbloshie, a suburb of Accra, Ghana. This site has gained global notoriety as one of the world's largest electronic waste dumps. Here, amidst plumes of acrid smoke and piles of discarded technology, a grim story unfolds. The story of our digital age's hazardous afterlife. The computers, televisions, refrigerators, and mobile phones that we so readily upgrade and discard often end their journey in places like Agbogbloshie, creating a landscape of toxic obsolescence. Vast quantities of e-waste, often illegally exported from developed nations under the guise of used goods or donations, arrive here in shipping containers. The local economy that has sprung up around this influx is one of dismantling and recovery. Young men and sometimes even children work under perilous conditions to extract valuable metals such as copper, aluminum, and gold from the electronic carcasses. The pursuit of a meager livelihood in this digital graveyard comes at an extraordinarily high cost to human health and well-being. A stark illustration of environmental injustice where the poorest often bear the heaviest burden of global consumption patterns. The Yamuna's agony, a sister in sorrow. We return to India, to the Yamuna, a major tributary of the Ganges, facing a desperate struggle for survival. Flowing through Delhi, a megacity of over 20 million, the Yamuna is burdened by urban and industrial filth. 80% of its pollution comes from untreated domestic sewage. Billions of liters of wastewater are discharged daily, often directly into the river. Industrial clusters release hazardous chemicals and heavy metals. The river's water becomes visibly dark, oily, and froths with chemical foam. Linfen, a city veiled in smog. Our journey now takes us to East Asia, to the city of Linfen in Shanxi province, China. For a period, Linfen held the unenviable distinction of being labeled the most polluted city in the world, primarily due to its overwhelming air pollution. Situated in the heart of China's coal belt, the city's economy, and indeed its very air, has been dominated by the mining and burning of coal, alongside other heavy industries such as steel production and coking plants. The consequences for the environment and public health have been profound and deeply troubling. For many years, the skies above Linfen were perpetually grey, often tinged with a yellowish-brown haze. Residents spoke of not seeing the sun for weeks on end, of laundry hung out to dry turning black within hours, and of a constant taste of coal dust in their mouths. The air was thick with particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and other pollutants, emitted from countless smokestacks and coal-burning facilities. Linfen's story is a stark illustration of the extreme environmental costs that can accompany rapid, coal-dependent industrialization. The Matanza-Riachuelo, Argentina's Tainted Waterway. We now venture to South America, to Argentina, and specifically to the Matanza-Riachuelo River Basin. This waterway, which flows for approximately 64 kilometers before emptying into the Rio de la Plata, runs through some of the most densely populated and industrialized areas of Greater Buenos Aires. For decades, it has been subjected to an unrelenting barrage of pollution, earning it a reputation as one of the most contaminated river basins on the continent, a symbol of urban environmental neglect. Thousands of industrial facilities, including tanneries, chemical plants, slaughterhouses, and petrochemical operations, are located within the basin. Many of these, particularly smaller and informal enterprises, have historically discharged untreated or inadequately treated effluents directly into the river and its tributaries. Alongside industrial discharges, the river system is overwhelmed by vast quantities of raw domestic sewage. Many of the informal settlements or villas miseria that have sprung up along the riverbanks lack access to proper sanitation infrastructure. The Matanza Riachuelo story is a critical test of Argentina's commitment to environmental justice and sustainable development. Our attention now turns to Hazaribagh, an area within Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. For many years, Hazaribagh was synonymous with leather tanning. It was home to a dense concentration of tanneries processing raw animal hides into leather for export. This industry provided employment, but at an enormous environmental and human cost. The tanning process is notoriously polluting, involving a wide array of chemicals. In Hazaribagh, tanneries operated with minimal waste treatment facilities. Untreated effluent laden with toxic chemicals was discharged into open drains and canals. The pollution had a devastating impact on the Buriganga River. Hazaribagh's story is a sobering lesson in the hidden costs of global supply chains. Port Harcourt, the Black Soot Enigma. We now journey to the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, to the city of Port Harcourt. This major oil hub faces an alarming environmental crisis, the Port Harcourt soot. Residents find surfaces covered in a fine, black, oily particulate matter. A significant portion is attributed to illegal artisanal oil refineries. Crude oil is crudely processed in makeshift refineries. These operations release vast quantities of thick black smoke. The health implications for residents are a growing concern. Addressing the soot requires a comprehensive strategy. Norilsk, an Arctic industrial scar. Our exploration now takes us to the harsh and remote environment of the Siberian Arctic, to the Russian city of Norilsk. This industrial center, located above the Arctic Circle, is one of the northernmost cities in the world and tragically one of its most polluted. Norilsk is built around a massive mining and metallurgical complex primarily focused on the extraction and smelting of nickel, copper, cobalt, and palladium. For decades, this industrial behemoth has been a colossal source of air pollution, leaving an indelible scar on the fragile Arctic landscape. The primary culprit is the Norilsk nickel plant, now Nornickel, which has historically been one of the world's largest single emitters of sulfur dioxide. Millions of tons of this gas, a major contributor to acid rain, have been released annually into the atmosphere from the plant's towering smokestacks. This has resulted in widespread environmental devastation, with vast areas of the surrounding tundra and taiga forest killed off by acid precipitation, creating a stark, barren landscape often referred to as a technogenic desert. Norilsk stands as a stark example of the extreme environmental consequences of heavy industry operating with insufficient controls in a vulnerable ecosystem. Kabwe, a legacy of lead. Our final destination on this sobering journey is Kabwe, a city in central Zambia. For nearly a century from its founding in the early 1900s until the mine and smelter complex closed in 1994, Kabwe was a major center for lead and zinc mining. While the mining operations brought economic activity to the region, they also left behind a devastating and persistent legacy of lead pollution, making Kabwe one of the most lead-contaminated places on Earth, with profound and tragic consequences for its children. The primary source of the contamination was the now-defunct state-owned lead-zinc mine and smelter. Decades of mining, smelting, and processing activities released vast quantities of lead dust and particles into the air, which then settled over the town and surrounding areas. Waste materials from the mining operations, known as tailings, were often dumped in large exposed piles, further contributing to the dispersal of lead into the soil and water through wind and rain erosion. The health impacts of this widespread lead exposure on Kabwe's children are heartbreaking and severe. Kabwe's story is a tragic reminder of the long-lasting consequences of industrial pollution, particularly from heavy metals, and the critical importance of responsible environmental management during and after mining operations. A call for change and hope. We have journeyed through landscapes scarred by human endeavor, witnessing rivers that weep with toxins and air that chokes the breath. These 10 locations, while representing some of the most extreme examples, are but a fraction of the environmental challenges our planet faces. The stories of the Ganges, the Sitaram, Agbog Bloshi, and others are stark reminders of the delicate balance we so often disrupt. Yet to despair is a luxury we cannot afford. Instead, let these accounts serve as a catalyst for awareness, for dialogue, and most importantly, for action. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. The future of these places and countless others like them depends on the choices we make today.